Republican Seniors of Minnesota, a group of seasoned seniors that learn and discuss issues important to all Minnesotans, featuring guest speakers with traditional conservative values, plus Republican candidates at all levels, pledging strength and optimism. We believe in and advocate for the principles of personal responsibility, economic prosperity, peace through strong national defense, and limited, sensible government. Republican Seniors of Minnesota. It's not the years in your life, but the life in your years.
Good morning. Good morning. Good. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming this morning. It's an exciting time of year. We've got one more month before the primary. I'm Terry Flower, Chair of the Republican Seniors of Minnesota. This meeting is being live streamed today by our volunteers from livestreampros.net. And you can view the live stream on our website and go back and past couple meetings as well. And you can do that, also find it on YouTube, Rumble, or somewhere on your smart TV. We especially do want to welcome the people who are watching us on live stream, and maybe it's their only way. Can you join me in a big hello? Hello! Cool, that's it. Yeah, wave because they got you on video. Cool, yeah. And we do want to make sure that you tell your friends about Republican Seniors of Minnesota. That's the only way they're going to learn about us and come on and join our meetings. I do have to share some not so good news with you. The folks, the Knights of Columbus who own this meeting hall have sold the building. And we will be able to meet here, as I understand. We'll be able to meet here next month as well. But your board of directors is feverishly working on finding another place. And let's look at it. We could cry and everything, but real thing is let's look at it as an opportunity to maybe do things the way we've always wanted them to be. So we will keep you informed. We'll put information on our website if we have anything positive to tell you. But we sure want to make sure that we do this right. Will you please join me in an opening prayer and an invocation where we ask for God's blessing on our meeting? Gentlemen, there we go.
God of our fathers, who directed and inspired the hearts of our forefathers to set forth the independence of these United States of America, we humbly confess that we have ridiculed the absolute truth of our word and called moral pluralism. We have endorsed perversions and called it alternative lifestyles. We have exploited the poor and called it the lottery. We have killed our unborn and called it a choice. We have abused power and called it savvy. We have coveted our neighbor's possessions, coveted, and called it ambition. We have ridiculed the time-honored values of our forefathers and called it enlightenment. Search us, O God, and know our hearts today. Try us and see if there be some wicked way in the U.S. Cleanse us from every sin and set us free. We pray this in the name that is above every name, Jesus. We pray honoring your holy name. Amen.
Thank you. That was an invocation read at the Fort Snelling Chapel this past Sunday. We would like to acknowledge our military veterans and other first responders, active or retired police officers, firefighters, and whatever first responders we have. Will those people please stand and be recognized? All right. That's what makes our community strong. And now, will everyone else please, as you are able, stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Thank you. Well, we've got some announcements, and I mentioned to you.
Here are today's notable announcements for you, the Republican seniors of Minnesota. Minnesota's fraud problem made national headlines as criminals took advantage of our state's generous welfare programs and lax oversight to steal billions of taxpayer dollars. Join American Experiment's fraud expert Bill Glann as he follows the money and connects the dots in this historic chapter of Minnesota history. Locations and dates are on the screen, or visit americanexperiment.org/events for details. Senate District 49, which covers Eden Prairie and southern Minnetonka, is hosting their ever-popular Pictures and Politics this Thursday, July 16th at the Gold Nugget Tavern and Grill from 6 to 9 p.m. in Minnetonka, Minnesota. Come and have a drink, food, and friendly talk with like-minded neighbors and meet your 2026 SD49 candidates, Dustin Default, Wendy Craig, and Jeff Hodek. Visit 49mngop.com for details. Let's get social, enjoy a dinner buffet, and experience a statewide Republican Candidates Forum in one location. All endorsed candidates and you are invited for an exciting evening of discussion, positions, and questions answered. It takes place on Thursday, July 23rd at the Hastings Public House, Hastings, Minnesota. Social hour begins at 6 p.m. with the dinner buffet, only $25 at 6:30 p.m. Your RSVP is required, so please visit metrogopwomen.org for information. It's a year-long event, America's 250th birthday celebration. Party from noon to 2 p.m. at the state capitol on Saturday, July 25th, as we celebrate our incredible country on the steps of the Capitol, with food, friends, and good old-fashioned fun for the whole family. Includes free ice cream, live music, food trucks, patriotic speeches, and more. Brought to you by the Center of the American Experiment. Get ready! The Great Minnesota Get-Together kicks off August 27th and runs through Labor Day, September 7th. Our Minnesota GOP booth on Carnes Avenue next to Ye Old Mill will be busy with visitors, so helpful assistance from our GOP volunteers may be needed. Watch our website for updates, plus next month's meeting for further information. And now, back to the meeting.
Okay, great. I personally, with some friends, brought some people who hadn't really ever gone to senior Republicans before. I brought them to that Center of the American Experiment on fraud. And I want to tell you, if you got a chance to go, do it. We had 220 people at the meeting at Brackett's Crossing in Lakeville last Thursday. And, it just shows that people are really want to know what's going on and what can be done and what should be done. So we're going to be looking forward to that. It's going all around the state, and I think that's fantastic. Let's see, we've got a few people who showed up this morning, and would you just give them a chance to say hello to you? Adam Schwarze, your Senate candidate.
I didn't realize I was going so early this morning in the program, but it's great to be here. Packed house today. This is, I think, the largest attendance I've seen even before our nation's 250th birthday. So great to see everybody. And this is the last event before the primary, right? The last meeting that you guys will have? Awesome. So I'm the endorsed Republican candidate for United States Senate. Thank you so much for your support. Who, by the way, is a delegate? Who took part in the process? Well, God bless you. Give yourselves a round of applause, because when we take our country back, it's because of God's glory, but it's people like you who are actually showing up, going to become a delegate, going to the state convention, becoming a Republican senior. It's truly, we don't win without you. I don't win without you. So you are the people that are actually going to belong to glory when we take back our state. I do have a couple of awesome updates. So I'm the endorsed candidate by the Minnesota Republican Party, and that was largely based off of values. I'm not the high name ID candidate. I'm not the candidate that D.C. is anointing to this race. And frankly, if you are happy with the D.C. status quo, I'm not your pick. I'm the political outsider. I'm the guy who's been in the trenches fighting for you for our values my whole life. But if you support our Second Amendment rights, our constitutional gun rights, is that something you guys can get behind? Me too. And I'm happy to report that the NRA also sees it the same way. I'm about to get their A report card, and I think I'm about to get their endorsement as well, which helps bring national money into Minnesota. When you have somebody who actually supports our Second Amendment rights on a national level, being a Marine, a Navy SEAL, somebody who supports lifelong constitutional rights, that helps get money to help all of our wonderful candidates get across the battle line as well. Does anybody in here care about life? Supporting life, kind of one of our base principles. Well, I say that because I'm running against an opponent in the primary who's openly a pro-choice candidate, running as a Republican. So, I mean, you should do your homework, because these things matter. And if you can't support life, one of the foundational basic things of our party, I don't support your tax bill. If you can't do the basic things right, you can't do the complicated things right. And I think that supporting life is kind of one of our basic tenets of being a Republican. Would you agree? There's this organization in Minnesota. It's the strongest pro-life organization. It's also the oldest. It's called MCCL. Have we heard of that one? MCCL is also endorsing me in this race as well. So I'm strong to be your values-aligned candidate, supporting Second Amendment rights, supporting life, and supporting our great president. I'm the only candidate in this race that has literally fought in blood on the battlefield to support President Trump's agenda, and I look forward to supporting our president. Last thing, elections. Who cares about election integrity in here? Me too. Me too. You can't have a nation without election and secure elections. I look forward to passing the Save America Act, which is something 87% of Americans support. That's not a Republican versus Democrat, man versus woman, black, white, rich, poor. 87% of Americans support that. But why isn't it getting passed? Because of weak leaders in the United States Senate. That's the same leadership that's trying to anoint a candidate into this race right now. So if you're happy with the U.S. Senate and the weak leaders there, I'm not your guy. But if you want a fighter who's going to fight to support life, support Second Amendments, and support our great president and get that Save America Act passed so we can secure our elections, then I humbly ask for your support on August 11th. Again, Adam Schwarze, it's great to be here. It's great to see all my friendly faces again at the Republican Seniors. God bless you. Have a wonderful morning. God bless America.
Okay, we also have a couple of congressional candidates here. Quentin Wittrock from CD3.
Thank you, Terry. I've been here many times, so I'll be brief. You'll see the fundraising totals coming out for the candidates now, because our second quarter passed, and I'm happy to tell you that I raised $256,000 in the second quarter, much of it from people in this room. So thank you very much for your support. Those of you who are in CD3, I am using some of that money. I've bought 1,000 regular-sized yard signs plus many larger yard signs. And so if you would like to put a yard sign and are able with your HOA rules to put a yard sign in your property, I would love to have you let me know, and I'll get you a card and I'll get you a sign. I am running against someone named Kelly Morrison. On the 4th of July, she posted, when she is celebrating the 4th of July, she is celebrating, what was the first word she put after what she was celebrating? Abortion is health care. That was the first thing she said in her 4th. And I'm thinking, first of all, even if you believe in abortion, is that the first thing that comes to your mind when you're talking about the 4th of July? And the first word on my post, so I put a post in effect mimicking hers. I said, the first thing that comes to my mind when I'm celebrating the 4th of July is freedom. And I am a big believer in freedom. I'll let it go at that. We have a lot of other people that need to talk today, and you came to hear them talk. But let me know if you would like a yard sign, and I'll be in touch. Thanks.
Thank you, Quentin. Okay, Eric. Eric's coming from running for CD2 Congress. I told him earlier he's got to get used to hearing that name, Mr. Congressman.
Thanks, Terry. Is it hot enough for you? I'm on plug. I have my mom's teacher's voice anyway, so it's okay. But, there we go. Is it hot enough for you out there? I hope you don't mind. It's too hot for me, so I'm going to go without a sport coat today. But my name is Eric Pratt. I'm running in CD2. I want to give you just a quick update. We did some internal polling, and I'll just say that we're going to be coming out with a public statement here soon, but the results were much better than we expected. That CD2 is really an open race. It's one that we can win. It's very competitive, and we're going to be working really hard to flip that. There's just too much at stake. If we don't win this race, this could be the majority maker in the U.S. House of Representatives. If we don't win, Hakeem Jeffries becomes the Speaker of the House. Oh, you think that's bad? Ilhan Omar becomes a committee chairman. And we're going to be tied up for 2 years in impeachment hearings instead of getting the work that you all need to get done. That's why I'm running. That's why this is so important. I need your help. We're going to post a really good quarter as well, but if you can help us with fundraising, if you've got a few dollars, those of you online, you can be outstate, still contribute to CD2. If you live in the 2nd District, come out and volunteer with us. Door knock, phone call. We're always looking for parade walkers. You can find more information on ericprattmn.com, and you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or X at ericprattmn. So thank you all very much, and stay cool.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, we've got some local candidates. Owen Michaelson is running for the Minnesota State Senate in Senate District 50. That's Edina and Bloomington.
Thank you so much, Terry. I'm Owen Michaelson. I'm running for Senate Seat 50. Isn't it amazing? We celebrated as a nation our 250th birthday. Never in the history of humanity has there been a nation like the United States that's created so much prosperity, so much opportunity, and so much freedom than the United States. We ended slavery. We stormed the beaches of Normandy. We put men on the moon. We nurtured the spirits of Ford, Edison, and Musk. Americans release the human spirit. As Americans, we understand intuitively Stephen Covey's first habit. Be proactive. We were made in our essential humanity to act and not be acted upon. We are the first movers, not the government. And our founders and Americans understand in our core that this individual spirit has to be nurtured in a community of virtue. And this community of virtue springs from institutions that the government can never replace, such as the family, churches, synagogues, communities, and neighborhoods. And this community of virtue demands of us that we take care of our fellow humans. But this is not good enough for the DFL. They want to elbow their way in. I am infinitely perplexed why the prosperous families of West Edina and Bloomington, West Bloomington and Edina, have to have their kids' meals in school paid for by the government. Another thing that perplexes me is, it used to be that if any of us had individual significant life events, our families, churches, synagogues, and employers took care of us. The DFL wants in on this. They have now created the tremendous, onerous Paid Family Medical Leave Act, which is incredibly expensive, incredibly intrusive, and filled with all sorts of unexpected costs, such as schools. Did you know your property taxes are likely going to be going up because of that? Since when did government become the charity of first resort? How'd this happen? And then the kicker of it is the DFL and the government are awful at it. They fail three ways: fraud, deficit, and incompetence. Right now, the fraud is at $9 billion. We're the laughing stock of the world. Ellison and Waltz knew about it as long back as 2019, and they did nothing other than punish the whistleblowers. My opponent, when I ran for House 2 years ago, denied flat out that it was even happening at the League of Women Candidates vote, the candidate forum. Denied it. And then to boot, the DFL raised our taxes $10 billion, binged an $18 billion surplus, and did you know this? In 2 fiscal years, we're looking down the barrel of a multi-billion-dollar deficit. And then the incompetence. Minnesota used to pride ourselves in our education. We used to be in the top 5 for public education. The prestigious Annie Casey study came out last month, and it put Minnesota as 21st team. We're mid-pack. We're not even up at the top anymore. Half of Minnesota's students are not reading at grade level, and it's even worse for math. I used to serve on the Edina School Board. This matters a lot. I was born and raised in Minnesota, so I've spent the vast majority of my life here. And crime and homelessness are so far up from when I was growing up, it's unbelievable. The DFL cares more about ideology than education, cares more about the perp than the victim, cares more about inputs than outcomes, cares more about spending than results. And the worst of it is, they cherish government dependency, not human agency. As Republicans, we cherish human agency. We need to join the battle and take back the Minnesota Senate. I joined this battle late. I need help. We need $50 from 60 people. By next week, we've got about 20 raised right now. We've got our website up, owen4senate.com. Some of my campaign folks are here. We would just love your help. Again, Owen Michaelson, running for Senate District 50.
Thank you, Owen. And Juline Birgersson is running for the state Senate in Senate District 51. Owen was in 50. But Juline is out of the country, as I understand it. And Joyce Anderson will be speaking in her place.
Hello, everybody. I'm Joyce Anderson. I'm lifelong resident of Minnesota. Last 25 years, I've lived in Richfield, and I'm speaking on behalf of Juline Birgersson, who is running for our Senate candidate for SD51, which is East Bloomington and Richfield. The SD51 Senate incumbent is retiring. So we have a unique opportunity to try to capture the seat. Juline is a lifelong Bloomingtonian who is running for this seat. But she's not running for herself, but for Minnesota families, Minnesota-raised kids and grandkids and their futures. She's coming out of retirement to serve residents with integrity and respect. What are Juline's goals as Minnesota Senator for the people she represents? To keep hard-earned Social Security payments and pensions, no tax on Social Security, lower personal income tax rates, to keep your home owned and rented by reducing property taxes, to keep your businesses. Local businesses are vital to the success of Bloomington, Richfield, Minneapolis, for employment opportunities and ease of access to goods and services for residents. How will Juline accomplish these goals? Stop, end, and prosecute all social welfare fraud from the top on down. Cooperate fully with federal agencies in order to identify all forms of ongoing fraud and corruption in our state. Reduce taxes and regulations. Think property tax, sales tax, gas fees, car tabs, regulations increase costs for businesses who must pass them along to consumers. She will decrease and cut spending at all levels of government statewide. Negative state spending is now necessary in order to save us from going off an economic cliff. She will do her best to make state government work for you and your families. Grandchildren, not the other way around. Please cast your vote for Juline and talk with at least 10 more neighbors, friends, and parishioners to do the same. We must increase voting participation by conservatives to win the election. To be competitive, it's important for Juline to qualify to receive state campaign funds. To qualify, she needs 60 individual people to contribute $50 to her campaign by July 20th, which means the funds must be deposited in the bank and recorded with the state by July 20th. This is a good time to take advantage of the PCR program, political campaign refund, where the state will refund your campaign contribution up to $75 per person, $150 per couple per year. You will get a receipt and simple form to send in to receive your refund. If you are not familiar with this program, it's designed to encourage grassroots participation. The pot of money set aside for the purpose will be distributed among political parties until it's gone. If the Republicans don't participate, it'll go to the Democrats. Your donation will be greatly appreciated. You can write a check to Campaign Fund of Juline Birgersson and send to P.O. Box 20084, Bloomington, Minnesota 55420. We have a few flyers in the back, and we have a sheet taped to the the end of the bar towards us that you can take a picture of if you would like to donate or contribute. She needs it this week because July 20th is next Monday. So I encourage you to vote for her, and if you can contribute to her campaign, she would greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Yeah, folks, you've had some of our candidates just telling you how urgent it is to get out and vote. The big thing is that we're talking now. Just our next meeting date is actually the primary date. It's coming up. It's upon us, and we have to get out and vote. If anybody stays home, you're basically acknowledging that vote going with the other side. Because I think that voting is so important, it's so critical that we brought in Karin Miller. She brings us some information about voting, and if you listen to her, she'll tell you why you can make a difference and just how to do that. We are going to win.
Woo! Great intro. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me here. My name is Karin Miller. I have to tell you, you are one of the most inspiring groups in the metro area because you show up, and that's exactly how we're going to win in November. So I'm here to share with you about a tool called the Voter Impact Booth. And I don't know, do we have a couple photos? Maybe I'll just start talking. So I wanted to let you know a statistic about voting. In general, among evangelical Christians, only 50% are registered to vote. So that's only half to start with. And the turnout is even worse. Only half of those who are registered actually vote. So it's 25% of all evangelical Christians vote. The statistics are very similar for conservatives across the board. We are only 1 out of 4 conservatives are showing up when it really counts. And while that statistic is devastating, it also shows the promise of the impact that we have. This is within our control. Whether or not we show up to vote, it's up to us. So we can shift the trajectory of our state. We can determine who our next governor is. You could determine who your state senator and your state rep are and your local officials are if we, the people, turn out in the majority. So if the majority of us turn out, we will win. And I have a tool called the Voter Impact Booth. And maybe we'll get a picture up, but if not, I'm going to put these little flyers on your table. It will bring you to an article that I've written about the Voter Impact Booth in my Substack, which is Faith in Action. For those of you who are online and won't get one of these, you can go to Karin with an I-N, Karin Miller.substack.com, and you go to June 9th. I have a post on the Voter Impact Booth. The concept is, you could, especially, I want to encourage you, go to your church, go to your pastor, your priest, your parish, and ask if you can set up a nonpartisan voter impact booth. And on the article, it will show you a link you can go to get the QR codes and the information that you need to print. Go to the dollar store, get some tag boards, some colorful patriotic decorations, and set up your own voter impact booth. There are 4 main QR codes that would be at that impact booth. One is register to vote. So imagine if you were in your church or parish a couple weeks before the August primary and a couple weeks before, especially the November 3rd election, and you're just a walking billboard, a reminder of there's a really important election coming up. And as people walk by, say, hey, do you have all the information you need to vote? And if they say, oh my goodness, I don't even know if I'm registered, or I'm registered, my daughter isn't, well then you have a QR code right there of register to vote. And then someone might say, oh my goodness, I'm so out of it, I don't even know who the candidates are. Well, the next QR code is what's on my ballot. They can scan it, put in their address, and boom, they'll have their ballot pulled up along with the links for the candidates. Then someone else might say, gosh, I haven't voted, or I'm new to the district, or they keep moving around my polling place. I don't even know where to go. Well, the next QR code that you'd have on the tag board is how to find my polling place. And again, any person can just put their address in, and it will pull up their polling location. And then if someone says, shoot, we're going out of town and we're going to be gone for 2 weeks, or we're visiting, grandkids in another state, there's another QR code for other ways to vote, which would bring them to all the early and absentee opportunities. And then you can also have calendars up. Fortunate or unfortunate, we have 46 days to vote in Minnesota, but that means everyone, especially every conservative, especially everyone who wants change in Minnesota, is without excuse. So you can have these calendars up and say, pick your day and pick your way, but make sure you cast your vote, because your vote doesn't even have a chance of counting if you never even cast it. So I'm going to put some of these flyers here. Look up the article, read it. My challenge to you is share it with your family members, share it with your friends, and ask them to share it with 2 people. And then consider, where could I set up one of these voter impact booths, especially think about your church or parish, and get that message out there. There is hope for Minnesota, and it's we the people. We the people, the majority, if we show up and turn up, we can shift the trajectory of our state. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Voting is just so important. One thing is, I think that generally on the primary they start at 10 o'clock in the morning, so you can vote on your way home. You can vote on the way home, so it's not You're already out of the house and everything, so plan on voting, and plan on having friends vote as well. Tell people. I was at that ball game the other Saturday, I guess it was, when the Center of the American Experiment supported a little rally on the rooftop of Target Stadium, and the thing is, a lot of the candidates were there, like Kendall Qualls was there, Eric Pratt was there. There were people who were there, and my granddaughter came, and I said, "Come on, I'm going to introduce you to Dahlia," because she lives in Minneapolis, and I said, that'd be great. And she just seemed to freeze. Like, why would I want to do that? Well, the thing is, you're going to find people who kind of are going to freeze. They don't want to get out. They don't want to stand out. Well, be aggressive. Stand up and vote. That's the best thing that we can do. That's the sword we're carrying in our hand, our vote. Thank you. Okay. Now, again, we have, there you got the primary elections are out. Also, folks, keep in mind our endorsed candidates. Your delegates went to Duluth and really grilled the candidates again and again and again, and selected who they thought would be the best candidate to run for office, and the primary will likely affirm that. So I encourage you to get out and do that. Now, one thing I do want to also apologize for. Well, it's not really an apology. You came here this morning to hear Jack Brewer. I came here to hear him too. He's an outstanding speaker, an outstanding athlete, and an outstanding philanthropist, trying to save young people. He's also interested, especially in black families. Kendall Qualls came here this morning just to meet Jack Brewer. Jack bought an airplane ticket from Miami to here. Was supposed to land at 9:30, and an emergency came up, and he wasn't able to make it. Kendall Qualls said he said he was coming here just to meet Jack Brewer. But he's here this morning, and I'll introduce him in just a few minutes. We've got a break before we get cranking with our main speaker. So we've got that 3-minute break coming up, and so you've got 3 minutes to complain or whatever you want to do. Okay? Yeah. So we'll be back together in 3 minutes.
You're watching Republican Seniors of Minnesota. We'll be right back.
Okay, we're down to 30 seconds. If you would go ahead and take your seats. Okay, are y'all ready? Yeah, please take your seats. Listen, we are pleased to have someone step in Jack Brewer's place at the last minute. I do think it's. I mentioned earlier. Look at these little setbacks as an opportunity. This is an opportunity for you to be able to hear Kendall Qualls for a full time. I want to point out a couple of things. You know, we're going to have our drawing at the end of the meeting time. An additional prize was donated by Ken Slinrack. In any case, he donated this shirt. Which will be one of the prizes. So you don't want to leave early at all. And of course, we're going to have our usual discount tickets for attending the meeting. I mentioned that I saw Kendall Qualls up on top of the Target Stadium there with the rooftop seating. And he was able to talk a lot about what he's going to do if he is governor, and that's why I call him Mr. Governor. But the big thing is he's out there working. And he's working really for you, not just for himself, but he's working for you. And any case, I'd like to make sure you have an opportunity to listen to, hear his stories he had sent me a video of him riding on a horse there, and with the flag, and I did raise horses for a while, so I really appreciated that. You betcha.
Thank you, Terry. So, thank you, guys. I'm so glad to be back. Thank you. And so what Terry was talking about, last year I rode in the Buffalo Rodeo. So Buffalo, Minnesota is the oldest rodeo in the state. And it's the 250th anniversary of the United States Army. And if you remember, if you were here for one of those events, I wore a historical cavalry uniform, and I rode out in the beginning of the rodeo with an Army flag and a horse. My kids were all there because they'd never seen me rode. They would just see me fall off the horse. I said, "You guys are terrible." But we had a great event. So listen, before I get started, so if you don't recognize me, I'm Jack Brewer, stand-in. Okay? You know, Jack Brewer and we've never met, but we have a love for the same thing. We have a love of country. We have a love of God. And we have a love of how do we rebuild our families. I mean, many of you have followed politics for a long time, and you've seen the destruction of the American black family, and it's been spreading beyond our communities to everything. And when you start looking into this, you see there's an agenda here that's deliberate, because there's not been one attempt to reverse that trend. So I'm going to speak about what the Jack Brewer will be talking about, and then I'll give you an update on the campaign on the back end and be under my normal time frame. But before I do that, raise your hand if you guys have seen the movie The Great Awakening. Okay, for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a must, especially this anniversary of our country. What about Young Washington? Both of those are like a must-see. I tell you, you think about the position we're in right now as a country, as a state. It looks dire for us as a state, right? And so much so many people have left. This is where true patriots come in. This is where those that dig in deeper, work harder to save what people thought is unsavable. I'm just so proud of the work that's been done in those two movies, because it is those people and those stories. We're not special. They're us. We've inherited that grit. We inherited that. We've forgotten. It's been dormant for so long. So this is why on our campaign T-shirts, we embedded God, Grit, Grace on our T-shirts to remind people of who we are as Americans. But you know what? We did this to commemorate Charlie Kirk's death. That young man was trying to save his generation. And we did this to commemorate him. And, a lot of people that want to, criticize him, all that, they don't know him. They use him as a scapegoat to criticize the country and criticize him, criticize God and everything else. We're not for that. We're standing up for truth. All right, so I'm going to get started. So I guess that's my bio. We can go past that. You guys know who I am. Oh, my slides aren't working? Okay, well, let's take a look at that real quick. Were you able to load them up? Okay. All right. So we're gonna go without slides. So let me just kind of give you an update on what Jack Brewer was focused on and what we're focused on and how that's parallel. And it has less to do about the black community, but if anything, the black community was the canary in the coal mine in the 1960s. You guys know the story of welfare and how it happened. But the biggest tragic thing that I looked at was not by the NAACP or the National Urban League or any of these other organizations. There has not been one attempt to reverse that decline. It went from 80% two-parent families to 80% fatherless homes in my lifetime. And I was shocked to see there was no return. Well, why is that? Who benefits from that? And we know socialism and Marxism, the first thing they want to do is dismantle the foundational issues of our country, and what holds up basically those institutions that support God, love God, and also capitalism. Okay? So when you look at that from that perspective, you find out where we are today as a nation. The United States today, it has the largest percentage of children that grow up without a father than any country in the world. Okay? I'm not talking black children, I'm talking overall as a nation. Times 3. 22% of children in the United States grow up without a father in fatherless homes, as on average, the other nations around the world, 7%. So 3 times more. Most people don't know that because the mainstream media and established, they don't want us to know that. Because when we know something's wrong, Americans fix it, right? We put energy and focus around it, and we fix it. They don't want us to know it. Because the next slide I had, when I shared that information, then I asked, well, who benefits from that? Who benefits from chaos and families and everything else? When I take a look at what's happening in our state, this is a good example. We've been a nation for over 200 years, and we hadn't needed government help for child care. Okay, we kind of figured it out on our own. But now, government said, well, I'll come in and help, and they've regulated things so much that the grandma down the street or the auntie can't watch the kids anymore because of regulations. It's the number one cost for young families today is health care because of government intervention. Child care. Did I say health care? I meant child care. Okay? Child care. I go to any small town. Jackson is a good example. Jackson, Minnesota is a good example. I was there. They were having a town hall meeting. And the one daycare center that was left in that town, the woman walked into the middle of the town, dropped the keys, and said, I'm quitting, I can't do it anymore. Literally, the city council had to manage the child care for the city, for the small town, for people to go to work. This is something that we're seeing things in our country that has never happened before. And it's deliberate. And we need to be more conscious of it. So I say that as a candidate, but also as an American, I love our country, rebuilding things in our communities, is because when we understand the big picture of things, we understand what's at stake. And it literally, as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of our nation, it is more about how do we get back to the foundational issues. Okay, we can't go back to 1950, 1930, but look, the basics, if you know football and major sports, or if you're involved, if you play pickleball, tennis, or anything, golf, those sports have been around for decades, for years, for centuries. But the basics never change. The basics of success never changes. And the same thing for our country, same thing for our families. And we're so far off the basics. And I'm convinced that we have institutions that want us off the basics so we can rely on government. So I was going to share a slide here of like what happens when we become dependent on government. I mean, that's exactly what the Democrat Party has turned into. They're not the Democrat Party, we say this of our parents, they're not even the Democrat Party of Bill Clinton. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about Hillary Clinton. I'm talking about Bill Clinton. They're far left of Bill Clinton that they're leaving some of their people behind, and it gives us an opportunity to come in with a practical candidate, a candidate that's all about America, about, look, there is that idea of lifting yourself up does work. The basics do work, and my family is a good example. What I was going to share on one of my slides is that here's a guy, as a kid that grew up in Harlem with my mom in the late 60s, early 70s, then moved with my father in a trailer park in Oklahoma. I had nothing. But, I had grit. I know I wanted to get out of it. I got an education, all those different things. I served about 5 years in the Army on active duty, South Korea as well, right on the DMZ. But I wanted a civilian career. I wanted something other than my parents' career. My first job was in Dallas, Texas, in the civilian world. And someone had the nerve to invite me to church. I didn't want to go. I wasn't looking for God. I wasn't looking for church. But you know what? He found me. And I got baptized in that church a year later. Tony Evans was the pastor. I never heard the Bible taught that way, not preached. And then later, Max Lucado was one of our pastors. I share that with you because you're looking at a guy that never was involved in politics until I moved to Minnesota over a decade ago. But I was involved in politics my entire life. But they're threatening the very foundation that helped me get out of the poverty that I grew up in. That's why I got involved to sound the alarm bell. If a guy like me can be successful, I'd say I'm not special. I'm not exceptional. I live in an exceptional country. I serve an exceptional God. The formula works. All of my siblings chose a different path, and their lives and their children's lives have been a disaster. And it's like a dome of protection been over our family. So these are the things that Jack Brewer would talk about because these are the things that we've been doing in our community. So in Minneapolis, we have over 100 volunteers, and from the black community, they denounce Black Lives Matter, denounce DEI, and they call for a need to get back to faith, family, and education. And we've been promoting marriage. How do we restore marriage back into the black community as the norm again? And someone saw that online. Me and Sheila do a workshop, about 100 families. We've been to Detroit. We've been to Memphis, Tennessee. We've been to Charleston, South Carolina, just teaching how to restore marriage, the basic principles. Because when I go into those communities, and in fact, I'm going to be there at the end of this week, and I say, look, God did not intend for you to raise children alone and to live your lives alone. And all the heads nod up and down. I said, our prisons are full of angry young men wishing they had fathers growing up. There's no one leading this endeavor. No one. Not any institution. Again, not the NAACP, the Urban League, or Black Lives Matter. We're doing it right here. In our organization, take charge. We are doing it right here in Minnesota, in the same place where the George Floyd riots and looting started. God takes something evil that's meant for evil. He turns it in for something good, and we're going to do it right here in the state of Minnesota. Okay? So when I talk to these people, they want all the things that we want, but they're hooked on. The Democrats are not offering an exit ramp, and this is. And I'll end here, and I'll shift over to the campaign with why this is so important, because the basic principles of our country work. If you haven't seen those two movies I mentioned, The Great Awakening, it was basically these pastors that came over from England in the 1730s. They preached to 80% of the colonists around the 80% of them. You know, it's before the internet, before social media. It's amazing. And that was the cause for the 1776 revolution, because they understood their rights didn't come from the king, it comes from God. It's great. It's a really cool story. And they don't teach this in our elementary schools. And then young Washington, we have exceptional leaders in our country that we should be so proud of. It's one of the reasons why we named our school Washington Academy. We named it after George Washington and Booker T. Washington. George Washington, our first president, a slave owner, freed his slaves upon his death in his will, 60 years before the nation freed, right? And then Booker T. Washington, who was born a slave. Our country's history is so cool. Our kids don't know it. And so why do I say I don't know? If their kids don't know it, they won't defend it. So here's the statistic. I'm going to show you why voting is important. All the way down to the school board. There was a survey done of 41,000 Americans. Those Americans that were 60 and older, 74% of them passed the survey, which was the U.S. citizenship test. 74% passed it, 60 and older. Those that were 45 years and younger, only 19%. You think, oh my gosh, their IQ is the same. There's not, it's a mental ability. They never were taught it. They've been taught all the sins of our country, but none of its virtues. So why is that important? Well, you won't defend your country. You won't be proud about your country. You won't enlist in the military if you think your country's evil. In that next survey, I was going to add in a slide, there's a survey done. If the United States was invaded, would you come to its defense and sign up and fight on our property, on our land? 48% of young men said they would not. Nearly half. This is a recent survey, and the reason is in our public schools and our universities, 50% of our professors are self-proclaimed Marxists and socialists. They're telling you what they are. Most Americans have no idea what that means. They think, it's capitalism with a little softer touch. No, it's anti-capitalism, it's anti-God, and it's anti-American. I mean, really, we have enemies in the gate in our country, and we see it in our children. These kids are 20 years old, 22 years. They've never been in the Army, never had to go through the Great Depression, never drafted like the Vietnam War, anything. Why would they have such a bad notion of our country? Because they've been taught it with our tax dollars, in our public schools, in our universities. I bring all of this up, my friends, because yes, we're going to do some great things. When we win this election, yes, we're going to take care of the taxes and the regulations and Social Security, but we need to have leaders that understand the big picture of what's really going on a macro level in our country and in our state, because we're funding what's happening to this next generation. And it is from my perspective, is the difference between good and evil. And I call it borderline treason. No nation teaches their children to hate their own country, but we're doing it. Okay? So that's what this is. So it's not just how do we rebuild the black family. We were the canary in the coal mine. We were the pilot of this whole downward trajectory of how do we dismantle the families, the institutions, the schools, everything else. And it's been happening for 50 years. And it's high time that we take notice and we start electing people that understand the big picture that can get elected. Now, to say this stuff, you sound kind of wacky, but you guys have been around. You've seen the evidence. You've seen your grandkids. You've seen what's happened to some of these kids when they come back from college. And it's transformative of what they've been exposed to. And we're seeing it happening today. So there's still enough people here, though, to help get us over the finish line. And I want to just get, now that I'm done on that topic, I want to transition to our campaign. So, as you know, thank you so much. You guys endorsed this my candidacy for governor. Thank you, this institution specifically, and it was further endorsed at the convention. Now we've had 11 months on the campaign trail. And we had some good people that were in it. Patrick Knight, good guys, Michael Lindell, all these guys, good men and women that love the country, love their state. And we were in a competition. It's kind of like the Army-Navy game, right? At the end of the game, though, we should be all on the same team. We should all be rowing together. We're not separate. And that's the problem we have right now. It's okay to compete when it's time to compete, but at the convention, that's when it should be over. Because we have 2 months, literally 2.5 months to the general election. We should still be fighting each other at this critical time. But that said, there were 18 different straw polls and debates. So there'd be a room like this. There'd be a forum of all of us there, 18 of them around the state. I won 16 out of 18. And so people around the state independently had this information. They got exposed to all the candidates. And they said, well, no, now we got to go to primary. I said, well, look, I'm old enough to remember the heavyweight bouts with Muhammad Ali and all those guys. And, you know, I won 14 rounds. I win in 15. I think it's a waste of energy and time, but we'll win in 15. Because at this point, the voters decide. This is a grassroots movement. And this idea that you can buy elections, this is anti-Republican. You know, yeah, you can flood the airways, you can flood mailboxes with flyers, but at the end of the day, does the candidate have the appeal to energize the base and capture a few of the swing voters in the middle? You got to do both. So I'll leave you with this little piece of information. When I ran about 6 years ago, some of you remember me, I got involved in politics because of Ilhan Omar. She's such a darling. She's a darling. When I heard her speak, I said, oh my gosh, who is this person? She's dangerous. I've never heard a federally elected official speak this way. Not only that, I never heard an immigrant speak so disparagingly about the country that saved their life. I'm going, holy smoke. Who is this person? So I contacted, like a good citizen, I contacted my state party GOP and said, hey guys, use me. I'll speak in Minneapolis. I'll speak around the state. This woman is dangerous. They had me meet with several different people. I met with, at the time it was Tom Emmer. He said, well, would you consider running? Would you consider running for office? I said, yes, I'll run against Ilhan Omar. He goes, no, you don't live in her district. You live in the 3rd district. We need you to run against Dean Phillips. I said, well, can I run against them both? I'm from the Army. We take ground. We don't cede ground. He goes, oh, no, only one at a time. I said, okay, that's your policy. Anyway, when I ran against Dean, I didn't prevail. But I want you to remember this one number. I got 196,000 votes, over 196,000 votes. As a first-time down-ballot candidate, no name recognition, nothing. I got 5% more votes than President Trump at the top of the ticket, and 4% more than Jason Lewis, who was the U.S. senatorial candidate. As a first-time down-ballot candidate, guys, we don't need to win the Metro. We need to overperform in the Metro, okay? Now, that was 6 years ago. Since that time, that 196,000 votes, there hasn't been one congressional candidate in CD2, CD3, CD4, CD5, the 4 Metro congressional, that have beat that number in over 8 years. So my friends, I've been going on the campaign trail, said, look, I was talking to all the outstate, all the greater Minnesota congressional districts. You bring your army, I bring my army. We'll meet in the middle, and we're going to declare victory that night. Okay? That's how we do it. I said, well, Kendall, how do you know that? Well, look, I'm from the business world. I mean, if you want to try something on a big scale, you try it on a smaller scale. It's called a pilot, feasibility study, right? I outperformed in that 3rd district, which encompassed the suburbs as well as part of the Metro. It was part of St. Louis Park, and Brooklyn Park was part of that. And we have a small scale. We can do it on a larger scale. My name recognition has gotten much bigger than 6 years ago. And the energy, the funding, and all that stuff will be there. Now I just got to get through the party politics. It's unfortunate. So obviously, I got the endorsement. Lisa's going to be in the campaign, and then obviously Mike, you know, God bless him. He said from the beginning, "Hey, look, I'm going straight to the primary." So now we have a 3-way race that we have to deal with, and the biggest thing for me is, and the establishment part of our party is not aligned with me. So all the money's on this way. But, you know, at the end of the day, as Christians, and this is the character of God, you know, just think about Gideon for a minute. He doesn't give you 10,000 troops. Yeah, that's too many. I'll give you 300 because he wants to know where that victory came from. We're going to have a victory in November. It's going to be a God-delivered victory. Okay, it really is. And And you know what? Does he have enough money and all this other stuff? Yes, they have more money. Just like Kamala Harris had more money than Donald Trump, and just like Hillary Clinton had more money than Donald Trump. I just need enough. We have enough to get our word out. It is the grassroots that's going to do it. So I have, like I said, I got T-shirts and I got brochures, and I'm going to leave you with the details of this. So there was a polling that was done by another campaign, not mine, and it was released in Alpha News. And in that campaign, it said, when you look at Qualls, he has the complete momentum of this campaign. When people know him, he's the one candidate people know the least, but the ones that do know him like him more than all the other candidates. And then, so that's the one bullet point. And the next bullet point is that when they share their messages, what's Kendall's message? Like my bio, my background, political outsider, all that. His message is stronger than all three candidates. I mean, literally, it was about, oh my gosh, how do we stop this guy? Okay, that was the polling from the other camp. The key is where you guys can play out, and what Terry was saying here earlier, is spread the message, obviously vote. We need to get evangelicals out to vote, conservatives out to vote. And this is going to be an opportunity for us as we think about the anniversary of our country. Can we do it again? Can we do it again as a nation? And there was a quote in that Young Washington movie when young George Washington was like, we need to change things around. You can't change things. And he was learning, his older brother was teaching him how to play chess. He goes, but if you do it smart, even a pawn can take a king. My friends, we are descendants of that very nature of George Washington, the founding fathers, all of those. Even, it doesn't matter our skin color. You know why? Because George Washington, when he was fighting in the Revolution, he found out that, you know what, the black soldiers fought just as well as others with brave and courage. He had the most diverse fighting force in the United States Army history up until the Vietnam War, was George Washington. Public schools don't want to teach that. Isn't that just sad? Man, we're going to get this. I feel so excited. I know the grassroots, the voters, you guys make all the difference. Not just the spend ad. You need to spend money. You need to get an awareness. But you know what? The strength comes from the grassroots on the ground. God bless you. Take care. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you. Yeah, I think they were asked if I'm open for a few minutes of Q&A.
Good afternoon. You've spoken about good and evil, and I know it was a couple of years ago now, but your office, as well as the Office for the Center of American Experiment, was torched by arson. As far as I know, I've never heard any outcomes of that. What can you tell us about that bad political event?
Thank you. So you got to remember, this is the time when they got the trifecta, so they controlled every seat of power in the state of Minnesota. Everything. The media and everything else. But they firebombed my office, the Center for American Experiment, and Upper Midwest Law Center. We're in a 3-story building. There's 50 other offices and businesses in this building. They targeted R3, and it destroyed the entire building. Yes, that's evil. But they never found the perpetrator. The FBI said, hey, it's a cold case now. After 3 years, they couldn't find him. You know, I tell you, I've moved quite a bit in my corporate career. It's amazing that my alumni association can find me everywhere I go. I need to just turn on our alumni association. They'll be able to find it. The FBI won't.
Kendall, thanks for coming here today, and we certainly appreciate you. My question is this. As you listen to the Democrats year after year, they talk about their strength in the Somali vote.
Right.
And my question to you is, what's our strategy in order to be able to work with the elders there so they don't look left and right and say, here's what you do and do this only?
Well, here's the thing that, so I don't know if you heard the question about the Somali vote. I have a different take, but I believe from all my other candidates. And I tell people, look, I call it Houston, we have a problem. We have a problem with the Somali community. They were not told what every other ethnic group was told when they come to America, is that you become American, you can still keep your heritage and identity and traditions, but you know what? There's one constitution, there's one rule of law, and we assimilate. Everyone assimilates. And I share this with an analogy to so this is not anti-Muslim or anti-Somali. This is pro-America. I tell people we've been winning Super Bowls for 250 years. We have one jersey. It's red, white, and blue. Okay, you don't bring your jersey and play on our team. You don't play on the team with your jersey from your other country. You just don't do it. I mean, I'm seeing so many different flags waving around, but there's only one flag that's burned. It's ours. The other side, they'll wave the Palestinian flag, the Hamas flag, the Black Lives Matter flag, the Pride flag, Somali flag, but our flag is burned. We've had enough of that. We have to understand if we're going to be a solid country for the next 250 years, we have to undergird the very foundations of it. So it's not saying, hey, we don't want Somalis. This is, if you want to be on the team, look, this is how it works. It's worked like that for 200 years for all other ethnic groups, even from the same continent of Africa, right? When you take off their helmets, you don't know what the people look like when they got the helmets on. When you take off, everyone looks different. Got different hairstyles and everything else. But they're all working on the same direction. Now, I believe that because of what's happening and how the stars are aligning, we may not get the 80,000 or so, 100,000 Somali votes. But I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of Democrats. When they take a look, I've gotten calls from the black community I've never gotten calls from before. Not because, hey, he's the black candidate for governor. It's because the traditional African American community, 350,000. They've been looking around $9 billion, fraud. They've had an $18 billion surplus. And the Democrats control the seats of power, as a trifecta. North Minneapolis looks just the same as it did before the rioting and looting and everything. In fact, look worse. They're in the same condition as they were from the rioting. And they're looking at the Somalis driving Audis, Teslas, and all these different. They're going like, holy smoke, wait a minute. We've been the most loyal constituents to the Democrat Party, and we feel like we've been screwed. Now, not just the black community, the Indian community, the people that come from India, in China, legally, it takes 8 to 10 years to get a U.S. citizenship, and they know. They look at this, and they see the immigrants coming in instantly, getting benefits and everything else that they can't get. I mean, people are saying, are we going to play by the rules or are we not? And there's a lot of people that historically have not voted for us that are willing to do it. If we have a candidate, they can speak to these things, and I do it unapologetically. Look, how is it that we have 15 million people coming to our country in 36 months under the Biden administration? They get full. I mean, our governor was going to give them free medical care and tuition for their kids, and these people that come legally, they have to sign waivers that they're not going to take any government assistance. It takes 8 to 10 years, and there's a sense of fairness that is wrong that we can speak to. Now, look, if the Somalis want to come on board, I'll meet with them. I have a scheduled time to meet with some of those Somali imams. But my response is going to be the same. We pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Are you willing to do that? Good. I want to see you do it. I mean it. Because what's at stake is the very nature of our country as we move forward. Yes, sir. I hope that answers your question.
Hi, Kendall. My name is Ed from Lakeville. I want to thank you very much for running. I was in favor of you for a candidate back when you last ran, and I wish you would have been in there because you'd have been a much better candidate in the debate against Walz than I think it was Nelson, So I look forward to a debate, hopefully, with you and I think Amy Klobuchar, who's running for the Democrats.
Yes.
I look forward to a debate between you two because I think you can whomp her.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm wondering, I see a lot of political ads on TV already, and I'm wondering when are you going to be starting to have ads on TV for your campaign?
Yep. So first comment about Amy Klobuchar. We're going to be on the same stage together at Farm Fest the first week of August. So I'm looking forward to that. And I like politicians that they talk about, hey, the things we can do, we're going to do. And I've done this. Well, if you've done all these things, why are farmers feel like they're so miserable? Why was there at the end of our convention, this 92-year-old farmer wanted to have a picture with me. He felt like, man, his generational farm in 5 generations is at risk of losing it. And they don't feel like they have a champion for them. in greater Minnesota. They really don't. I mean, God bless them. And so my key for those politicians that have served 20 years, if that's the case, why are we in this condition? If you're the most senior elected official in the Democrat Party, why didn't you know about the fraud? Okay, I'm going like everybody else did. From the whistleblowers to everything. The Somalis did. No, I'm joking. So I'll ask those kind of questions, and these are things that a typical politician wouldn't ask. I came out of a Democrat environment. I escaped that environment. I had a choice when I was 18 years old what party I was going to go to. I didn't know any Republicans. I didn't have a country club membership. I signed up as a Republican because I knew with the Democrats, it's a trap. And people, that cycle never gets out of it. And they've shown 5 generations, especially in our community. But anyway, I look forward to that. And the ad standpoint, look, my opponent has outside money. They spent $1.5 million to get the endorsement, and that didn't work. And so I got the endorsement. They're spending a lot more money. They have a lot more money. We're going old school revolution, American Revolution style. Don't fire till you see the whites of their eyes. Okay, and I mean that figuratively, no, seriously. But it is when you don't have as much as the British Army, you don't attack like you're the British Army, right? You do a different type of warfare to win in a different. You reshape it, you redefine the battle based on what the resources and strengths that you have. I love it. This is classic stuff that we used to do in the military and business world. Case studies of success. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Kendall. It's really nice to hear from you. I wanted to back up to something you said earlier about the establishment of our party is not with you. Yeah. Could you help us better understand that a little bit?
Yeah, so let me give you an idea. When I ran against Scott Jensen last cycle, there were a lot of those. In fact, they approached and said, "Look, Kendall, we don't think Scott can win." Not Scott, I'm sorry. It was we didn't think any of the candidates in the pool could win in the governor's race. Would you consider getting in? And the only thing that tipped me to make me get in was Minneapolis was going down to like a Detroit. Now, when I was in New York City and Harlem, I was only 5 years old. I couldn't do anything to help my mom. Because really the criminals, these guys, they would target women and children. I couldn't do anything, but I could do something now. And I thought I could help turn around our city. And so I got in. I was the last one to get out of 7 candidates, and I finished number 2. For those of you who don't know, I finished close number 2 with Scott Jensen at the convention. Many of those major donors that supported me wanted me to challenge Scott Jensen in the primary, and I refused to do it. Number 1, I gave my oath that I would abide by the endorsement decision. And second, when you compete against your own side all the way up to August, you weaken the candidate, you weaken the party. So that's why I didn't do it. And I think the idea that I'm not controllable, they weren't willing to back me this time. They wanted me to do it. I said no, and they said, well, okay, you want to be independent? You can do this all by yourself. So of all the candidates, we've raised a second amount of money to be effective. But not the typical millions and millions. We'll hit $1 million this week of our fundraising dollars. It'll be very different once we win in the primary. Then all floodgates will open up. But right now we have an inner family fight that we got to take care of. I hope that answered your question. Thank you.
I guess I'm next online. I want to make 2 points to the audience here. If you recall first of all, those of you that don't know me, I've organized the programs for the seniors for about the last 20 years. And it's been a great privilege to meet some wonderful people like Kendall. I just got off the operating table with some major surgery, so this is how important being here with you today is. But we had a program several months ago from a lady up in the northern states of the northern part of Minnesota that was advocating for the mining operation, if you recall that. Oh, yeah. If you recall her comment that none of those mines were in the drainage district of the Boundary Waters. Right. Amy Klobuchar and Tina Smith both voted against having that in our state. It would mean jobs, it would mean revenue, and most of all, it would open up access to critical materials that we're now buying from China, the bad people. I mean, it's almost like they voted for our enemy.
Right.
And I keep that in your quiver.
Yeah, and I have a story, Don, to tell you about that we got invited up to Hibbing by one of those engineering offices.
Well, I've got contacts for you on that.
And I'll tell you the story that he shared with us. They're sitting on $1 trillion of minerals that they could mine starting tomorrow if we just lift that's a game changer for that region and our entire state. The Democrats do not want that to happen. When I tell people,
because they were listening to the environmentalists and making telling lies.
And I believe, and I'm sorry, I'll let you keep going. That's an excuse. When they say they're Marxists and socialists, believe them, and they'll use any excuse to stop commercialization and capitalism. That the environmental thing is an excuse because it's not. You're right. It's not in the boundary waters.
Great. Well, the other thing I wanted to do, I got a text this morning from Jack Brewer that he had an emergency, and I'd already been communicating with Kendall to come and meet Jack. And Kendall, I can't express my gratitude very emotionally for you to step in Jack Brewer's place on 2 hours' notice and make this performance today. Thank you.
Thank you. And one of the things that Jack Brewer says, and I do, when we talk about the family, one of the underlying issues of this is that they use those disparities, those financial disparities, academics, as a premise for white privilege and racism. Well, it's not. That's a lie. It's a lie. And you know what? I stand up against all of that, and it's just so important that we put the issues with solving these problems where they belong, and not use it as a way to divide us as a nation. That's what they've been doing for the last 50 years, and I'm not going to let that happen anymore. So, thank you. Oh, we have one more? Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Didn't mean to cut you off.
Thank you very much. I'm Clarence. I'm from Minnetonka. I'm shopping for the party to be voting in. Hold it close. Okay. And but basically what I wanted to touch base on was the fatherless families. And I think that's a very important issue. And you defended the Constitution by taking your oath. I'm a veteran, too. I did the same thing. There's part of the Constitution I have a problem with that I would like to have your opinion on, and it's the 13th Amendment. And if I can read out to you real quickly here, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction, except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have duly convicted. And the point I'm making here is that we've got the biggest prison system in the world, and this exception here is just kind of giving us free rein to throw people in prison. And I'm thinking that there's a lot of fatherless families from the black communities have been taken advantage of here. Do you have any opinion on this?
Yeah, absolutely I do. So when you look at the data, and go back in the 1950s, since 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s census data, and you'll find there were black men in prison, but the percentage of them was much smaller than the overall prison population. It didn't start to explode until after this fatherless home issue started to rise. If I did an overlay map of the aid-dependent children, came out the welfare program started in the mid-late 60s, show that marcation line, and I'll show you the percentage of teenage fatherless homes. Overlay that with the violent crime from the FBI. There's a direct overlay map of that. In the 1990s, okay, 20 years after those in 1990s, all America said, "Man, the crime is terrible. We've got this. It was crack. It was other type of narcotics that." the roar from the United States was so large and so loud that President Clinton said, okay, we're going to put the crime bill. Okay? Joe Biden was the chief sponsor of the crime bill. It put 100,000 cops on the streets locally because Americans said, even black Americans said, this is getting out of control. Because we never had that high of a percentage of fatherless homes, it accelerated during that time. The crime came first, the cops came second. Okay?
Thank you, Kendall. God bless you. Yeah, like I said, basically it's an opportunity to have a different speaker this morning, and we'll likely have Jack Brewer at another time. We're at the point where this is July, and we want to honor the birthdays in July. Anybody have a birthday? Somebody's got to have a birthday here. Anybody else? And there's another. See, you can come up. You can stand up and take credit for your birthday. So thank. Happy birthday. Is there anybody, this is their first time being here? Good. Where are you from, Carol?
I'm from Crystal, District 5.
Crystal, District 5. Great. We're glad to have you and hope you'll come back. And yeah, good. Okay. At this point, we have the 2 cents for 2 minutes. We have a number of people who have indicated they were part of this. This Chris Weedham. They can just give you a mic where you're at. Yeah, and please stand and speak clearly into the microphone so our streaming guests can hear.
Okay, so you guys said who's here for the very first time. I am here for the very first time. I'm a new candidate for the House of Representatives for 50A in Edina and Bloomington. I'm super excited to be running. A lot of people ask me, why are you running? And it's because all 3 of my kids have said, I'm not leaving Minnesota. So I really am engaged with our youth and trying to grab the youth into our Republican Party. Also, I am an advocate, obviously, against fraud. So when you look at the fraud, not only I heard a lot of the candidates talk about $9 billion, but when you look at your individual pieces, it's almost $4,000 a household you're losing from this fraud. That's a grocery bill, that's a gas bill, that's all kinds of bills. So for me, that's absolutely unacceptable. I am actually somebody that comes from corporate. I'm not a politician. I can look at the way we do things, 5 steps out and say, is that actually going to be effective for us long term? Do we really want this to be something we're doing? And I look at the fraud, taxes, and job growth. Those are the main areas that I look at. I'm really passionate about those areas, and I really want to make sure that I can contribute in a positive way for Minnesota. So, again, my name is Chris Weedham. I'm running for House of Representatives in 50A. That's Bloomington and Edina. I love donations or contributions. Since this is my first time, I am a grassroots effort. And so I love any support I can get from you guys. And I really appreciate the time today. My name is Chris Weedham, and I'm running for House of Representative in 50A. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I think we now have Kim Rich.
Standing right next to Chris. I'm Kim Rich. I'm running in 46B, that's Northwest Edina and Hopkins, and 2 precincts in St. Louis Park. I'm really here. I want to make sure that the candidates in Minnesota are making their goal to achieve the subsidy that we get from the state of Minnesota. The Democrats really do a good job of this, and Republicans struggle. And here we are at the deadline next Monday, and Chris here probably needs 10 people to give her $50. If they're Minnesota voters, that's what they look at, is if you're a Minnesota voter and you can donate $50 to your candidate, then they will be subsidized later in the year after the end of the primary. And so I've already achieved mine goal, and I will get the subsidy, but there's a Senate candidate in my district, 46. Her name is Kayla Wright, and her website is write4mn.org. It's WRIGHT 4FORMN.org, and she needs a number of people to donate to her. And Chris's website is Wedum 4MN, WEDUM 4, it's the number 4, MN.com. And if you're looking on the internet, or if you're right here right now, if you want to walk up and make a donation to her campaign, you'd probably put her over the top today if you could do that. Kayla needs a little more help, and I know Owen still needs a little bit of help, a lot of help. So you're running against Julie Green.
Yep.
That was Owen's opponent last year, or last time. So you have some ammo against her.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, okay. So good luck to you, and thank you for coming.
All right. Okay, and representing the American majority, Jill Marie.
Well, I'm actually Shar Guffian. I'm the executive director, but we do have two new people here today. American Majority Minnesota is now fully staffing. We have soon to be four full-time staff members who are going to be going around the entire state of Minnesota doing trainings. We're available for all sorts of trainings. I've worked with the HRCC, the SVF, the Senate Victory Fund to do trainings, and I will continue to come around to your BPOUs or do other events. I wanted to introduce our two new field staff, Jill Marie and Nicole Canton. Jill Marie Stick and Nicole Canton. So I'm super excited about that. Wanted to tell you we do have a number of upcoming boot camps coming up, voter registration and absentee ballot boot camp. We do have the forms, some flyers over there. You can talk to any one of us and we can help you find those. Otherwise, you can go to our website. Then something really cool. So how many of you guys have been here before when Ned Ryan's been here? A few of you? So Ned Ryan is our boss, for those of you who don't recognize American Majority. So Ned Ryan just came out with a new documentary. We are going to be doing some screenings, but you can go there right now, Thread of Liberty. I was going to say victory. Liberty. Threadofliberty.com. And you can see the free documentary about our founding of our country. This is Ned Ryan's present to America for the 250th. So super excited about that. And Lonnie Leitner is our direct boss, and he told me to say hi to all of you all. So some of you might remember him. And we are hiring 50 door knockers in CD2. So anywhere in the 2nd Congressional District, or if somebody's like right on the border and doesn't mind traveling into the 2nd Congressional District, we are focusing on that district this year to make sure that we get our congressional candidate through the race, and all of our candidates that are in that congressional district will also be seeing some boost in door knocking and whatnot. So I think that's all I have for you. Oh, question?
Okay. Thank you. Hi. Oops. Oh, okay.
I'm Beth Beebe, and I am campaigning for Tad Jude. And one of his campaign strategies is that he gives out the old Minnesota flag. And they're going like hotcakes. And he puts a sticker on the back that has his name and a QR code. I need volunteers to help me put stickers on 1,500 more. That's one project. The other strategy is at the state fair. They're going to create those, we used to call them a funeral fan or an advertising fan with a stick. Okay? Well, I need people to help me glue the sticks between two sheets. And otherwise it'll cost $1 a piece, and they want 100,000 of these. I can't do it all. So I'm asking if people have a glue gun, they're willing to help. The things are getting printed. If you are interested in helping in that way, you can go ahead and sign up on my list. If you want to help with making the flags, I got another sign up, and I appreciate that. I don't know if you're like me, but I've done 3 campaigns myself, 1, 2. And I've worn out shoes, and I've worn out my legs and my feet. So this is a great opportunity for me to just sit with a friend, talk, do a job. Thanks.
There you go. You folks have got to remember the eminent philosopher Dolly Parton. She said, "Hey, if you want to enjoy the rainbow, you got to play in a little bit of rain." So we've had some ups and downs, and I think we're good. We're ready to go. Oh, there is one more. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't. Go ahead.
Good morning. Not everybody can walk in parades. I used to love it. I can't do it anymore. But everybody here might have an opportunity to help the candidates. The donation of $50 or more to get them past the bar that they have to achieve in order to get a substantial amount of money from the state is critically important. But other things that multiply is if you have a house, have a meet and greet for a candidate and invite your neighbors. That multiplies what you do exponentially, because the candidate will come to your house, you can talk to your neighbors, and it spreads. The sooner you can do that for a candidate, then it can multiply, because somebody else will say, I want to do one of those at my house. If you don't have a house, like I don't, but you live in an apartment building, you can sometimes get, if they have a room that can be used in a multiple unit, you can have a meet and greet there, and you can help by distributing information in your apartment building. My apartment won't allow it. They have to by law, but it's a different story. But the meet and greets are critical to the candidates. So think about it and contact the candidate you want to support.
Thank you. Are there any others? Okay, great. That brings us to drawing for our door prizes. I got it. We'll do the shirt first. 250th anniversary shirt, Freedom. By the way, the side is 2XL. Well, it won't fit everybody, but it's going to fit somebody. And if you win it, you know somebody it'll fit. Sir?
Quentin Wittrock donated that.
Quentin did? Oh, okay. I had a different name. Okay, you want to draw the name or the number? Okay. The last three numbers are 642. 642. Okay, and we've got two more. Right. Okay. Thank you. We got the two attendance tickets. You got one there. 627. Okay. And the last one. 595. Yeah. Folks, make sure that you tell your neighbors about us, that you bring them with us with you if you can do that next time. So next time, keep the faith, keep warm, keep cool. Okay. That's right. Hey, hold it just a second. Next meeting speaker is Susan Tully, who's going to speak on immigration, and that is a pressing issue right now. So, thank you all. God bless you. Trust Trump. Pray for our military.
Republican Seniors of Minnesota. For more information, please visit RepublicanSeniorsMN.com. While visiting our website, you can click on the video tab to watch videos of past meetings. Also, look for other tabs that bring you to our live player and other video programs. Or, on YouTube, search for Republican Seniors of Minnesota.